Hi, it's Elizabeth with the Weekly Tasting. Thanks so much for getting this Italian meal pack. I think if you got the pack, you probably already know that Italian food is complex, it's hearty, it's flavorful, it's so delicious. Despite such simple ingredients, the flavor combinations are outstanding. And the country itself is very long and it's very diverse. The wines are also incredibly diverse. Pairing is an essential part of the cuisine of Italian food. What grows together goes together, doesn't fit anywhere as well as it fits in Italy. So with this in mind, I put together this pack, and Italian food has a special significance for me because I lived in Florence years ago and my Italian host father taught me how to cook. It's probably the only cuisine that I feel like 100% confident cooking with. So this pack represents wines across Italy. It's gonna show you how to make awesome pairings. We have a Prosecco, which is extra dry, gonna go really well with salty food or go well with things with a slight sweetness. Think roasted red peppers, antipasti, this is your wine. You've got Barbera from the Piedmont region. This wine is so wonderful with the first dish, either with pastas with tomato sauce, risottos with an earthy component. This is a fantastic wine. And then a Primitivo from Puglia in the southeast corner. This wine is the ultimate pizza wine. What a fantastic pair with anything with marinara sauce. And then finally a Chianti Classico Riserva, a very high quality Chianti. This will go well with your I Secondi, the second dishes. Anything with meat or anything that's kind of hearty or earthy, this is a perfect pair. All of these wines are going to teach you so much about high quality Italian wines and how they pair so well with cuisine. I'm hungry. You got to get to cooking. I got to get to showing you what's so special about these wines. Let's get to the tasting videos now. This wine is the Fourchier Prosecco Extra Dry, and Prosecco is usually fizzy and fruity and really easy to drink, but my problem with it is that mass market Proseccos usually don't have any sense of place, and there are some really delicious Proseccos out there that have a little bit more going on. This is an example of it. Well-made Prosecco is hard to find, but I found one for you. This wine is extra dry, which means it has about 1/4 teaspoon more of sugar to it than brut. However, this wine needs it because it's very high in acidity. This wine is made at Friuli Venezia Giulia, which is in the northeast corner of Italy. It's pretty cool, and that's gonna result in very high acidity in these grapes. Let's take a look at the wine. It's kind of a straw greenish color. Great small little beads, which is encouraging because it's gonna make that wine livelier and longer lasting. We'll give it a swirl and a sniff. Pears and honeysuckle flowers, a little bit of streaminess, that Rocky Mountain stream. Let's taste it. Melon, red apple, honeysuckle pears, that streaminess is still there. High acidity. And there is a little bit of sweetness to it, but again, it's a counterbalance. It's not overly sweet, very lively. It kind of dances on your tongue. Look, you can have this as an aperitif on its own, but try it with food. Antipasti, things that are salty and sweet are going to be fantastic with this wine. You could go native and follow the grows together, goes together route. There's a dish called lasagna ai semi di papavero. Lasagna noodles with a sauce of butter, sugar, and poppy seeds, which would be great with this. Antipasti, you can have it with omelets, you can have it with fresh crab or crab meat salads. It will be fantastic with a range of things, a really excellent food Prosecco. This wine is the Barbera d'Alba Attilio Giscolfi Maggiore. Now, Barbera is the grape, Alba is the place. Alba is a place in Piedmont in northwest Italy where the main grape, the big famed grape, is Nebbiolo, and that makes the wines of Barbaresco and Barolo, which are incredibly delicious, very expensive, but take up all the best vineyard sites. So Barbera for years has been a second-class citizen in this place. But in the 1990s and 2000s, people really started to pay a little bit more attention to their Barbera, and as a result, they make these beautiful wines on hillsides, and you get cherry, you get very high acidity, a real sense of place, which is what we're gonna find in this wine, a fantastic one. So let's take a look on a white sheet of paper so that we can really see the color. It's a real dark red, so we can expect probably a lot of flavor, almost a garnet color. It's a little bit brown around the edges. This wine's a 2013, so that's gonna be 4 years old, so that's gonna be kind of, you know, little bit brown around the edges from the age. Give it a swirl and a sniff. It smells like a place. This wine smells like decayed leaves and cherry and tobacco and a country road. It smells like it's from somewhere. And that is so wonderful in a Barbera, which is often just cherry and simple. Here you have a wine from Alba, which generally has a little bit more heft than some of the other places that make Barbera. Let's taste it. Lots of cherry, a little bit of cola note, which is cinnamon and citrus and cherry, all those things together. And then you get some campfire. And it feels a little bit hot. There's 14% alcohol, so that might burn a little bit. I want you to remember something. The acidity is very high on this wine. Tannins are low. The texture might not be something you want to sip. That is not why it's in this pack. That's not why any of these wines are in this pack. These wines are food wines. And so because of that, you're gonna wanna have them with either anything in marinara sauce. I loved it with spinach ravioli and marinara, or you could have it with the traditional dishes of Piedmont, white truffles, brasato, which is a beef marinated in Barbera and herbs, or carne cruda, which is a beef carpaccio. Any of that will go great, but seriously, pizza, anything with marinara sauce, this is your wine. Fantastic. This wine is the Fuero Croce Byzantium Primitivo di Manduria. It's from Puglia, which is in the boot of Italy's heel, and it is flat, dry, and hot here, but in some pockets they get some cooling breezes, and that's where you get the best Zinfandel, which is the Primitivo grape. Now, this wine is nothing like the Zinfandel that you know out of California, because probably it's most likely because of the white limestone subsoils that are in this area, and also just the growing conditions are completely different from where we grow Zinfandel for the most part in California. So let me show you what I mean. We're gonna take a look at the color. It's a super dark wine, very warm climate, lots of pigment in the grapes. Zinfandel does tend to be pretty well pigmented anyway. It's even staining the glass a little bit on the swirl, so that pigment is there. We can expect lots of flavor. And let's swirl it and give it a little sniff. So there's earth notes, there's a lot of mineral, and there's some fruit in the background, dark cherry and black plum, maybe some blackberry in the background. But fruit is not the first thing you're gonna smell on this wine. Let's taste it. And the wine is like earth, it's a little bit plummy, got nice tannin, good acidity, but I gotta tell you, the wine is mildly interesting when you taste it alone. The action for this wine, like all of these wines, is with food. So I don't want you to taste this wine and be like, well, it's really boring. That's not the point. The point is once you pair this with tomato-based anything, you're gonna see exactly what I mean. This wine is fantastic with pizza, eggplant parmesan, pasta and marinara. You can have it with grilled vegetables. It will be a fantastic food wine. Alone, it's okay. Once it's with food, it's gonna sing and you will love it. So try it with food, try it alone, then try it with food. You'll see exactly what I mean. The 2012 Castellani Chianti Classico Reserva is fantastic. With or without food, this is probably the only red here that I would recommend you could maybe get by with sipping, although it's gonna be so much better with food. Now, this wine is from Chianti and from the Classico region, which is a more tightly defined area than just a regular Chianti. I generally recommend people get wines from the Classico region. This is the original delimited area where the best sites are for Chianti and for Sangiovese, of which this wine has to be at least 80 to 100%. This wine is 100% Sangiovese, and it is absolutely fantastic. Reserva means it has to be aged 24 months, and then also it has to be at least 12.5% alcohol, which ensures a certain amount of body and a certain amount of ripeness in the fruit. So let's take a look at the wine. It's kind of a brownish, orangish, maroon color, which is typical of the Sangiovese grape. And this wine has about 5 years of aging on it. Red wine kind of gets lighter with age, so we'd expect it to be a little lighter. And we'll give it a swirl and a sniff. What I love about this wine is that it smells like the land of Tuscany. It just smells like wet clay and dried thyme and rosemary. It does have cherry, it does have orange peel, which I always find in Sangiovese. It's got some dark flower notes. It actually smells a little smoky, like a New York City pretzel cart in fall, if you know what that smells like. It kind of has this kind of bready, smoky flavor to it. It smells outstanding. Let's taste it. So it has some cherry notes, it has some anise, which is kind of like black licorice, but a lot lighter and more herbal. It has some woodsy notes, not oaky notes, but kind of woodsy outdoor notes. The greatest thing about this is it's a real medium-bodied wine. It has nice acidity and nice tannin, but it's not over the top. It's restrained, it's classic. This is gonna be an awesome wine with I Secondi, if we're talking about the Italian meal. The meat dish, bistecca alla fiorentina, which is basically like their version of a ribeye steak. It's rare. Roast lamb with rosemary, Tuscan style sausages and beans, antipasti. It could also go well with pasta and tomato sauce, or mushroom risotto would also be fantastic because the earthy characteristics of this wine. An excellent version of Chianti. This is really a benchmark style. Well, I hope you enjoyed your Italian meal and that each of these wines served a special place with your cooking or with your takeout, however it may be. They're all fantastic, and I think they all have different uses, and they all taste better with food than without. Now, I've got to go eat, but for you, I want you to give us feedback on this pack, and please check back on Monday for the next available pack.